This is the Buysight rechargeable flashlight, or rechargeable spotlight. So in the box you get a red colored filter, instruction manual, the actual flashlight itself, along with some accessories. So this guy here has a little side light and a stand that locks with twisty knobs, and so you can adjust the angle while it's on the stand, like so, and then lock it into place by twisting the knobs. Or you can take the stand and kind of fold it back. It's kind of, in my opinion, the stand kind of is in the way of things. So I think in my usage, if I don't need the stand, I'll probably just unscrew these two guys and just take the stand off. So, you know, it's a bright flashlight. It has a high-low mode, a low mode, the flood mode, and there's also a strobe mode according to the manual. Long press for 3 seconds. I didn't read the manual correctly. Okay, so long press for 3 seconds, and now it's doing the SOS mode. There we go. Alright, so there is the red filter. It decreases light output, does make it reddish. I don't know if that's red enough to really preserve your night vision or not. It looks like, you know, there's a lot of other light that's coming through there, but it definitely red tints it. And it charges back here, so there's a plastic snap cover and then there's a rubber cover, and it has a USB-C port for charging. It says it takes 5 volts at 2 amps, so basically takes 10 watts of charging, 3 to 4 hours to charge it up. It does have a USB-A port. It will act as a USB power bank, so I'll have to check and see how much power we get out of that. So let's charge this guy fully. The manual says that in the bright mode it gets up to 10 hours of runtime, so we will test that. Then we'll test it overnight in some dark areas to see how much light it throws out. And then we'll see about these ports in the back and how much power they put out. Alright, let's see what this thing can do at night. So it has a strong central spot in a pretty bright area around it. It's certainly good enough to see where you're walking anywhere nearby. Alright, this is with the red filter attached. It's red. There's definitely less light coming out. You can still highlight things and see things. But it's definitely cut down on the output. So accessory-wise, you get a USB charging cable, but not a plug-in charger. So you have to provide your own USB-A port, but they have the A to C cable here. And they have here a double clip strap thing. There is a clip in the back here and a clip in the front here, so you could put this on a shoulder strap with this included strap. Alright, the stand does remove. It just has these little screws here. You unscrew them and they come out. They have these little places there to attach us to. Only problem with removing the stand is that it'll roll until it hits the handle. It will not stand upright. So if you want to stand upright, you're going to have to leave at least one of these two guys on there to act as kind of that flat base. Although I guess it's not terribly important that it stays upright. Let me test the USB port here. So this is just a standard USB-A port, and they don't claim anything about it being super speed or quick charge compatible or whatever. It is putting out 5 volts. We'll plug my phone in here. My phone is charging. This guy's putting 1.3 amps out. So it's doing a decent amount of charging here. It's not like rapid charging or quick charging. All right, I have my USB load out here. All right, so this guy is drawing 2.5 amps and the voltage is sagged down to 4 volts. So I think 2 amps is about as much as you're going to be able to get and have this voltage reasonably close to 5. All right, I'm charging this guy up. The light is red. All right, the green light's still on, but this guy is drawing 0 amps and it's hovering at 5 volts. So I'm going to say that it is fully charged, and we're going to start the time-lapse test to see how long it'll last. Okay, we have the clock and the time-lapse camera set up. I'm turning this on to full brightness. Alright, this is shut down due to low battery. We'll check the time-lapse camera to see exactly how long that took. Now I'm going to charge it back up and monitor how much power it takes to charge it all the way back up. Alright, overnight this thing charged up, so currently it is drawing 0 amps, but overall, to fill it back up, it drew a total of 5.5 amp hours. Now, even with the difference between a 5 volt charger and a 3.7 volt battery, 5.5 amp hours is nowhere near the 10 amp hour battery this guy claims to have inside of it. So this guy claims a up to 5-hour battery life, and it got a 2-hour battery life at the high setting. So I'm going to open it up and take a look inside and see what we can find out about the battery. Okay, inside there I can see a blue battery pack. I'm going to have to get it out to take a look at it. I don't think it'll just pull out. Well, actually, it does just pull out. So there's a piece of foam on either side here, and it looks like it's sliding on rails, and there's also a black wire that we need to get out of the way. So you pull these 2 wires off there, and there is the battery pack. If I had to guess, I would say that was 2 18650 cells inside, although actually, well, no, might be a pouch cell actually. So it is labeled as 10,000 milliamp hours, 3.7 volts. That is not the performance I was getting out of it. Potentially it's new old stock and the battery has degraded, but that's what you're getting. Volume-wise, it looks like about the volume of 2 18650 cells, which I would estimate to be about 6,000 milliamp hours. My testing was giving me 5,500 milliamp hours of power going back in to fill it back up. So potentially, you could replace this battery pack. There's extra room in there, so it wouldn't have to be exactly the same size, just something that would fit in that general shape and not rattle around. But for the most part, it looks like the control electronics are pretty much back here. There's a circuit board that handles charging, it looks like, maybe everything. There's a switch up top, and then a light and a battery, and a light here. And so there's 2 wires that probably go to the switch, and then 2 sets of wires that probably go to the side light and the top light. So I think this is probably the only circuit board back here. And that's what you had in the flashlight. So I was able to get this little piece out. It's in there, friction fit pretty good, so even when you take the screw out, it's hard to get out, but I reached in and stuck it out. And so you can see there's basically a lot of rows of LEDs on an aluminum heat sink screwed into the back here. So if you wanted to replace this with a red LED, all you'd have to do is find a red LED of the appropriate voltage. My guess here is that might... Well, it says 3.7 volts on the battery, so I'm going to assume it's a 3.7 volt battery. So basically just an array of red LEDs that work at about the 3.7 volt range. So here's this array taken off of the little plastic here. So it's 5 by 4, so 20 white LED lights, a couple of tiny little resistors. Now, various places in the listing, I've seen this listed as IP66 and IP67 protected. It does have a rubber gasket around the back here that will probably do a pretty good job sealing that guy. And we got this guy here and that snaps over the top of it. So this back part, I'll give them that. However, there's no rubber gasket or sealant around this guy here. So once this is snapped back in place, really it's just, you know, a couple of tabs and a screw holding it down. So that opening there isn't sealed super great. I mean, I don't think you're going to have any problem with this in the rain. It's relatively well sealed. Well, I'm not certain if it would really hold up to a standards body testing those ingress protection ratings, however. So one design decision I don't really like is that they have the battery offset to the bottom, and that means this little thing right here, that aluminum heat spreader for the side light, is not touching the battery. There's a gap there, but it's a very, very narrow gap. And there's a little room up here. I tried putting the battery in the top, but it wouldn't quite fit with the foam the way it is. I would have liked to see that battery away from the heat generated by the side light. Alright, I tried to take the front off just to look at it. I loosened all 4 of these screws. They felt like they were going through a rubber gasket or silicone or something. I got them as loose as I could. I could never get the screws to come out, and I could not get this off, so I just tightened the screws back up. I suspect there's a rubber gasket or sealant or silicone holding these 2 pieces together. So I'm going to say, you know, they got, sure, IP67 rated on the back, IP67 rated on the front. This guy here, however, there's no sealant around that guy. They also have some screws holding this top piece with the switch in, but I think, you know, this is probably your biggest thing for water ingress. But as I said, you know, out in the rain or something, this isn't going to be a problem. Alright, final thoughts. Tough plastic. I'm not too worried about the longevity of, you know, this thing dropping and banging around. Reasonably water sealed. It's not perfect, but reasonable. The battery is marked at 10,000 milliamp hours. You know, that's going to be less than that. 10,000 full amp hours there, I think. This feels like a light that you can buy with different brands stuck on the side here. It's pretty darn bright at night. I don't know, I can't measure if it's actually 20,000 lumens or not, but it's a pretty decently bright spotlight. I would say this should be in the $25 to $30 price point. So, you know, my only, you know, negative review rating here really is that the battery didn't seem to perform as long as it said it would. The flashlight did 2 hours at high brightness instead of the 5 hours the manual said it would. And the price seems a little high for what you're getting there. But it is functional, it works, you know, it does what it says it does, is it throws a big spot of light out there. So I think it's really battery life, capacity of the battery, and then, you know, the sealing on this little work light, there isn't any real sealing, it's just, you know, an edge there. But I don't really think that's going to be a problem here. I think water's just going to, you know, run off of it.